Hi everyone. I would like to welcome everyone on the grand finale event 2020, jointly organized by RosettaNet Singapore and Global CIO Forum. I'm very excited to be part of this research project, which I'll share with you, and uh, and let's see what's there inside for us. A little bit about the RosettaNet Singapore organization. Not many of us know this organization. It's a GS1 organization, and it's been for more than 20 years, where we do the digital transformation for the industry. And it's been there even before Marina Bay Sands in Singapore was built. So many of them relate that. So just get the picture there. Okay, what do we do in this consortium? And typically, we have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of opportunities in the industries. But the key player who make this happen is three main parties, right? We have the industry, we have the government, and we have the education institutions. So these three things should come together. And who will do that? A consortium like us, we try to work with all the three parties. Industries being, even if you're a competitor, will come back and try to solve the problem. Governments, where they will try to have the first movers advantage, fund some certain programs, work with them, and we can have a center of excellence set up in education institutions, right? So that's pretty typically what this kind of voluntary nonprofit standards organization consortium do. And we do have presence with in GS1 in every country. Even the delegates who are hearing, I'm very sure you have an organization in each of your countries. And in Europe, we have a MOU with EDSS organization, similar standards organization. I'm very glad to be involved with the MOU with Global CIO Forum. And research, the CIO research is a major success project which we are delivered this year, which I will talk about. So what are we doing in the consortium here? And we are an organization which has set up more than 1.2 trillion transactions in the industry for Fortune 500. More than 30 processes have been automated as we speak. And at a point in time, it was even used more than a Google search, and we stopped counting from there, right? So it doesn't stop there. And as industry changes, as challenges evolve, we thought it's important that the business models are moving towards the edge. And now a consortium is working towards the edge industry 4.0 technologies and the interoperability to it. So that's where I think this particular research becomes very important. And we also work with the government, like customs of the cross borders, to make sure that how do they accept paperless transactions. That's one of the key projects we did. Some ROI study with the universities, setting up training programs, and a real center of excellence where you can make a real project happen from a PowerPoint to a standard to be given to the industry free. One of the active projects which we are working on is with Infocom Media Development Authority of Singapore, which is Trade Trust, with a blockchain as a trusted service, which is again very important from interoperability from an industry 4.0 standpoint. When the industry is moving to a trade finance and green finance kind of models cross-border, right? And all this is done at free of cost and with evangelists and passionate people who want to make a difference, who have a full-time job and then volunteer on the consortium. So that's what we do. I'm very excited to be with RosettaNet Singapore and Global CIO put together. So what is this research and how is this apart, right? I spoke about our organization, the same strengths Global CIO Forum brings along. They have about more than 15,000 suites, 26 countries, and they're still growing as we speak. They are very predominantly spread in Middle East, Africa, and moving to APAC very strongly this year. And these two nonprofit organizations, when they strike together, and that's where this kind of research programs can be made and have an impact, right? And what is research going to do? We're trying to make it slightly different, not just taking survey and having data and keeping it there. We'll try and develop different verticals of people, process, technology. Even within technology, we can break into cloud, cybersecurity, and digital transactions, right? For example, how industry or a company sees themselves from a maturity curve of say star 1 to star 5, and how do they lay a path to build themselves to reach to the elite stage, right? And while they do that, where are the strategic investments they need to make? That again, they get a cookie cutter from how the industry is moving, where the investments are being made. And if they move, is the industry ready? Is the government ready? Is the policy ready? So all that kind of slice and dice has been factored into this research, which will let you know not only investment and the readiness which is coming along with you. And the confidentiality will be maintained thoroughly, and it's only going to be used in aggregated fashion for the purpose of research. And we'll have a clear outcome and actions where I think you all can be a part of. The leaders and the ambassadors are holding it together for this year. I and Malvika Shankar is based out of Singapore, and we are trying to create an impact in APAC, and together with Derek Lewis in US as our ambassador, and Anushri Dikshit is a very prominent figure in Middle East and Africa. She's helping us to engage the industry and partners over there. And it doesn't stop here. We're just holding on to it just to make sure the survey happens. We all need, who are hearing this, the leaders and delegates to join us and drive the programs moving forward. So how is the different segmentations of this research? What is the thought process behind it, right? So we have come out with a 360 degrees approach. We know we all are in a very unique situation this year, maybe once in 100 years kind of situation where pandemic hit, and we are so fortunate that we started this research this year, and we are able to record this history and moment, and where the leaders can rethink and re-strategize their investments from the learning of what is the new normal, and what happened last year may not happen going forward. And we also touched on culture and diversity, and all the way to the niche technologies like data science, Industry 4.0, cloud, and cybersecurity. And since we have the participation globally, we can do a segmentation by industry, by country, and also by people, process, technology per se, right? Beneficiaries are most of you, right from leaders, industry, ISVs, government agencies, and education institutions. And clearly, some of these combinations will churn certain pointed or focused outcomes, where I think it will be very exciting to see. So how the survey looks like. As I said, Global CIO Forum was very strong in Middle East and Africa, and RosettaNet Singapore has been very strong in Asia Pacific. Together, we try to create the traction and momentum there as we got along with US, Americas, and Latin America and Europe. But I think we would like to build the traction in the quarters to come. So let me take some of the cookie cutter of what the survey outcomes look like. The industry participation has been from high tech, real estate, hospitalization, medical and healthcare, automobile, all the way to logistics, right? So there's been a clear spread equally done across, so that the inputs are there and the learnings can be leveraged. We started with some simple questions like how an organization looks like, how important technology is, right? So by asking some simple questions like, who does your CIO report to? So if you see that red clear bubble chart or the biggest one on top, many of them said that they're all the head of the departments of the technology report to the CEO. What does it mean? What does it tell us, right? So which means that technology is important. It's no longer a back office. They need to drive the business as much as a CEO needs to drive the P&L, right? So which is very encouraging from there. Then we went ahead to check on what are the key KPIs which a CIO is measured on, right? If you look at this red spot per se, the key red one, if you just see, transformational leadership is key for any CIO to be measured, right? Followed with the business satisfaction, both internal customers and external customers, right? Then comes the operational excellence. This has become very predominant, especially in pandemic. How do you play the forefront role when things were unplanned and unforeseen for? Then comes the risk management, followed with the cost management. So these are the key factors which is being measured for a CIO through this year based on our responses. Then we went ahead to ask, what is the kind of leadership style you'd like to hire going forward, right? So typically the answer would be transformational if you were to take on the survey in 2019 or 2018. But looking at this year's situation, both transformational and operations has played a key part. And that's why I think it's resonating 67%, where the hiring managers or the companies are looking at having both transformational and transactional leadership. We went ahead to ask, what is the greatest impact you've seen to the operations through this pandemic this year, right? So the key one, we all know that demand forecast inaccuracy has been the key challenge any industry has faced. That's come about as 80% on top, which means like you're not able to plan because of this lockdown all of a sudden, and your goods getting stuck up and the capacities cannot be booked. And those are the key ones which the industry is facing, and what do we do about in forming our strategies around it? So that gives us a good thinker there. And the frontline workers also has been a challenge, because when you have lockdown, you have limited resource. When you have one country working but the other geography not working, how do you do that? And not only you, your partners around you, the supply chain partners around you, who are they trusting and giving their capacity first, right? So that is again important. The supplier collaboration, your 3PL partners, and then the shortage and dislocation of inventories. So that's how the four areas which has been impacted came out of the survey. Then we also said that how did you manage and what are the steps you took? Although it is unforeseen, but things don't stop, and we're all human beings, we know how to come out of situations. So they said the companies and the CIOs who have responded said they had a very good DR program, like disaster recovery programs, both for technology as well as human part. It was very well thoroughly tested. If you didn't have a good one, this was a moment for you to build and improve upon. So that's where I think they used the maximum resource and strength to weather the storm. Second is the war room situation. We just spoke about the demand supply unforeseen behavior. So you have to pick the phone, have everybody on the call, set up a war room, operational towers, and make sure how do you run a smaller window from a weekly to a daily, or maybe twice a day, to see how do you manage your supply chain from that standpoint, right? And identify hotspots which are recovering well and are managed well. For example, Vietnam is doing a good job. Singapore is doing a good job in handling pandemic, and Middle East is doing a good job. So how do we manage your resources of a global company to say these resources take over while the other countries are trying to follow and then recover from the situation, right? We went ahead to ask which are the key industries who are adopting the niche technologies of Industry 4.0, which is the edge, which is the smart technologies, right? Automobile has come out well on the medical and healthcare, high-tech industries, and we have telco and logistics service providers and distribution companies, FMCG and environmental. If you see, it's very interesting to see that the way the trade financing and the digital banking all is moving, there's huge opportunity there. That's where we are seeing the industry is going, even for the green and green loans or the zero economy and waste. That's where the industry is going. There's a lot needs to be done, and that clearly shows that where the opportunity is and where the other industries can learn from each other. And again, we went ahead to say that where do you think the money is being spent? On purpose, we didn't ask about their own organization. We thought as a leader, where do you see the industry is moving, where the technology is moving? And it's very interesting to see that most of the top 3 or 5 items which we have in our roadmap is resonated here. You have cybersecurity, you have cloud, artificial intelligence. You look at the blue spot, that would give you a clear indication of where the investments are being made. And that's how the industry is moving. And that's the response we got. If you compare this with the skills gap, it kind of resonates similar ones, saying that there's a huge skills gap for the new technologies, and there's a lot more things which we need to do. We can form programs and see how the skills gap can be closed by working with universities, training institutions, higher learning, so on and so forth. And further, we went to ask, like, in the automation of B2B, what is the key factor that is driving the B2B automation in your organization? And the resonating responses from the respondents were speed to market, because you want to move faster, right? Quick. So that's the only way when you can bring your B2B partners together. So that's where I think the digital transformation is paying the highest, followed with customer satisfaction, the profitability, and the competition is taking a little last seat. We went ahead and asked through this pandemic, because everybody's working from home and you can't go to office and things became physical to digital, what are the key technology trends which you saw that have helped you through this crisis, right? So all of us working from home is the unified communication tool where we have the Skypes, Zooms of the world, and the Teams of the world. That came in as the topmost thing which helped to weather the storm, followed with the suppliers base who are around you, your supply chain, and the suppliers around you, SRM played the next role. Then the operational, the war room towers, which we spoke about, that took toll, and then the customers, and finally the data science and analytics report, which helped them to find out the hotspots, right? We went further to say that if technology is ready, what are the other factors which is holding you from moving forward, right? So I think the key one which came back is again talent and skills here. If you see in the bottom, 74% which resonates there, followed with the lot of startups and fintechs and the SI and system integrator. They need to have enough knowledge to provide solution. There's still an opportunity there, followed with government regulations and the telco of the 5Gs of the world, right? So that's how it came back. And then we asked about agile. Is it being used for transformation or just for operations or as a customer journey, right? So the response was for the CI/CD, right? The continuous improvement and continuous development, and coupled with the DevOps. That's where I think the industry is moving and is being used the most. Followed with a journey perspective, having a persona and see how do you build a journey, use case, MVPs, and deliver it. And then finally, it's also being used by back offices. Interesting enough to see this note. We went ahead further to ask, do you think that this will stop? It's a short wave and it is going to resonate and then come back after the pandemic? The answer was no. Almost we saw that 95% of the C-suites responded saying that the investment in the digital transformation will continue even beyond the pandemic. Who are the beneficiaries here? So everyone in this call, probably if you're the leader, the industry itself, the small ISVs and the startups, government agencies, and education institutions, we do not miss you. So everybody will get a pie of it to be the beneficiary and benefit from this research. Leaders can rethink their strategies to see how do they replan things and which industry is moving forward and are they behind the curve? Should they catch up and where the investment should be made? Industries can leverage and learn from each other, and startups can have the point solutions, which I think it takes a longer time for a bigger industry or MNC to do. How do we do a payment gateway example, or how do we do a last mile IoT solution, or maybe a vaccine driven economy? That's a new trend coming up. And how do these ISVs and startup play a part? And then working with the governments on grants and the cross-border standards to be developed by them. The IMDS Trade Plus is one of the good examples. We need to see more of it. And working with the education institutions in terms of internship, in terms of center of excellence, and again, co-partnering with them, right? I mean, to make sure how do we close this skill set gap. From the timelines perspective, this is what we have crossed, and by December we have hit the timeline. The organization which would like to work with us are here. We'll have more added up, and the outcomes are in several shape and forms. The leaders will be driving this. We'll have roundtables, we'll have webinars, and all the different strategies I said. And you who are our participants and the CIO award winners will be part of this program to drive the programs from us. We have publications. You'll see more of it. And I'm happy to thank all the CIO participants who have participated in the survey. And I'm looking forward for a good 2021 to work with you and make sure that the outcomes and the actions happen. With this, I would like to stop, and thank you very much.